你好，我就是Paul Wolf Holloman, and welcome to another episode of the Lupine Epicurean. If you hadn't noticed from reading my foodie site or tuning in to even half of my episodes, I love Asian food. I love to eat it. I love to cook it. I spent my life studying Asian culture. About 2 episodes ago, a friend of mine out west, Omaha, I believe, she recommended, requested really, that I do a recipe for lo mein because she's a big fan. Not a huge fan of lo mein, but I thought, you know what, that's something, if we're going to do some experimenting, that's the way to go. We'll experiment with lo mein. So, today, I'm going to do a chicken lo mein with a surprise ingredient that you wouldn't expect in your lo mein. Chicken lo mein with honey. Today on the Lupine Epicurean. Welcome to another episode of the Lupine Epicurean. I am your host, Paul Wolf Holloman, and as I said in the teaser, today I'm going to be doing a chicken lo mein that has honey in it, something you don't usually see. It's basically going to be my replacement of cornstarch because I can't do cornstarch. I'm allergic to a lot of corn products. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do this recipe in kind of parts. So a couple things I want to talk about before we get into the recipe. And one thing to remember is with a lot of dishes that have variations on them, you can put in whatever you want. You can put in as many vegetables or as little vegetables or more meat or no meat or no vegetables, whatever you want to do. That's the beautiful thing, the joy of cooking, is doing it the way you want to do it. So keep that in mind today. I'm probably not going to put some stuff in there that you've seen before. I may put some stuff in there that you've never seen before in chicken lo mein. That's why it's an experiment. But so that's what we're going to do. Let's make some chicken lo mein with some honey in it, and let's see how it comes out. Alright, so let's talk about the ingredients that we're going to use today for the chicken lo mein. Obviously I've got chicken there. I've got 2 white breasts sliced and cut, ready to go. They have been thawed out. And then for the main lo mein sauce, I'm going to whip this up separately here in a second. And I'm going to use some Mongolian fire oil, which is essentially a chili oil. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. We're going to use some honey, and I'll be honest, I'm going to guess. We're just going to see what happens. And then, of course, I'm going to use some sriracha hot chili paste to give it a little bit of a bite. And when we look at the other things that we need to put in, we're going to have a 3/4 cup of shredded carrots. We're going to have half of a yellow onion. We're going to have 2 tablespoons of ginger and 2 sliced cloves of fresh garlic. We're going to have a 1/4 cup of coconut vinegar, a 1/4 cup of fish sauce, and then I'm going to add broccoli in mine. I like broccoli in my Asian noodles. You may not. You may want to put something else in, such as some snap peas, snow peas, bamboo shoots, soybean sprouts, a lot of different things you could go for. I'm going to go with broccoli. And also I'm going to do, we're going to do this up a little bit like we would with fried rice. We're going to put an egg in it to give it a little bit more consistency and add another flavor. And then of course you've got the noodles themselves. Now, obviously if you're making chicken lo mein, you want lo mein noodles. The lo mein noodles is what it's all about, right? But I'm actually going to use udon noodles. I like udon noodles. best of all noodles. So that's what I'm going to use. And it's the only thing I have in my pantry right now. But everything else, essentially the recipe in spirit is going to be the same. We are talking about chicken lo mein. So we are just about ready to go. So you might have noticed in the last episode I didn't use counter cam. And I'm not using counter cam now either because I finally got a tripod, and which is why everything looks a little smoother now. So we're going to get a close-up shot here. We're going to look directly at this sauce I'm going to make because this is going to be the basis of the lo mein flavor that I'm looking for. I've got a 1/4 cup of soy sauce here, and I'm going to take some Mongolian fire oil. It's basically a chili oil, like olive oil or something like that, but it's made from the oil of chili peppers. So I'm going to put a few drops in there. Depending on how hot a chili pepper oil you get, it's going to depend on how much you put in there. Now, I'm a big fan of sriracha, so I'm going to put probably 2 squirts in there, and that's going to be pretty spicy. If you've tried it before, you know. Now, here's where the experimental part comes in, because I'm going to take honey instead of cornstarch, and I am going to put in. And I am going to guess that based with what I already have, that's about a tablespoon, about 2 tablespoons. Bam. I would say that's about 2 tablespoons, maybe a little bit more. What we're going to do is I'm going to whisk this. I think I'm going to. So I'm going to see what sort of consistency I get, and if I feel like, because lo mein sauce should be kind of thick. It's going to be thick and it's going to be sweet. Now, what I can tell is it's still just a little too thin, I think. So I'm going to add probably another ½ tablespoon of honey, and bam, there we go. And it's going to be. Now I can feel with that. That feels more like the kind of consistency that I want in my sauce. Now you may want it a little thicker, you may want it a little thinner. Just adjust. So 1/4 cup soy sauce, about ½ tablespoon of Mongolian fire oil or some other chili oil, 2 big squirts of sriracha. You're trying to put that into tablespoons, teaspoons, that's useless. Everybody's got their own tolerance on that. And then about 2½ tablespoons of honey. That should give us what we need for our lo mein sauce. Alright, I've got the wok heating up now, just above medium. I have put in a few drops of Mongolian fire oil. I tend to either put Mongolian fire oil or olive oil in my wok when I'm heating it up to get it cooking. I've got my noodles over here in a pot. I'm trying to get those boiled up, and I'm going to start with the onions. I always like to start with the onions because I like the sound of onions and the smell of onions. And basically want to saute these a little bit. I'm going to put about half of my ginger and cloves of garlic in here as well. Get that stirred up a little bit. Alright. So, get some of the ginger and garlic in here. And of course, immediately you're going to find, oh, it's dry. So, I'm going to start fluid-wise with a little bit of coconut vinegar. I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Now, for this dish, I'm going to start with my chicken instead of any vegetables because I want my vegetables to be kind of crisp when I'm all done with it. I don't want them to be overcooked, too soggy, that sort of thing. So now that I've got a base to work with, I'm going to put the chicken in. Alright. Now I'll warn you, the vapors coming off of that coconut vinegar may just hit you in the face, smack you around a little bit. But we've got our base. I'm going to go back, put more ginger and garlic on there. So I want that flavor in the chicken. thing that I've learned about spices, especially in the wok, is it's not always necessary to dump it all in at the same time. Sometimes you want to add a little bit throughout so that you have different levels of that taste coming through. So, got that heated up. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start, I'm going to let this chicken cook. It's probably going to take about 5 to 7 minutes for it to cook to the point where I want to add in more stuff. And I'm going to add in the fish sauce, the rest of the coconut vinegar, and then we'll be ready to put some vegetables in. So as you can see, the chicken is getting really good kicked up now. Kicked up, cooked up, however you want to look at it. I'm ready to add some vegetables. So I'm going to put my shredded carrots in here. I want them a little more cooked than the broccoli. So we'll get that in there. And we'll go ahead and stir that up a little bit. And the smell of ginger and garlic, exquisite, coming up from the wok. I'm going to go ahead and get my broccoli. Now, the broccoli that I'm putting in, I'm probably putting in about 2 cups worth. That's about all I want. You may want more. Some people are broccoli fanatics. I like broccoli, but because I'm putting so much other stuff in here, I don't see a need to go overboard with the broccoli. Meanwhile, my noodles are boiling pretty good. They're getting close to the moment where I'll need to drain them. So, I need this to move the heat down to medium, but I want that cooking power to really be concentrated now. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cover this for a little while. Keep your eye on it. If you cover it for too long, it'll get soggy. We don't want that. But we want to keep those flavors in. We want to get that cooked thoroughly while we're waiting for those noodles to get done. So when we come back, we're going to add some egg and some noodles, and we'll be ready to go. Alright, so you're probably looking at this thinking, what the hell? I've drained my noodles. I've got them over here in the sink. I've emptied my wok into the pot where the noodles are because I want that mixture to stay hot. But I want to put my noodles in the wok. I didn't cook my noodles all the way through because part of lo mein is the fact that the noodles get cooked in the wok as well. So I put a little bit of olive oil in there. I've still got my heat up over here, and I'm going to go ahead and put my noodles. I'm going to shake it on there so it separates them pretty well. I'm going to get it back on the heat, and I'm going to stir up that olive oil. That'll keep it from sticking together too much. And this is the point where I am going to put my egg in as if we were making fried rice. Cut that up, get that in there. And since the only liquid we have in there is that olive oil, so we don't have to worry about the noodles getting too dried out, too soggy. So I've got the egg in there. Alright, that's cooking well. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my mixture back in there now that I've fried those noodles a little bit. Make sure I get all those carrots. Alright, so now I can start stirring all that together. So now we've got the egg in there, we've got the chicken, the broccoli, the noodles, the carrots. And we've got it on medium heat. We're getting close to the end. So, once again, I'm going to cover this so that I can get some heat going in there, a little more concentrated heat to cook thoroughly. And then once we do that, then it's time for the last touch. getting kind of sticky on me now because I've pretty much used any kind of fluid that I had in there. Strategic use of covering on a wok can make for some interesting dishes. Always something, especially if you're flash frying or... Alright, I like the way that's... So, I'm going to go ahead and put my mixture and make sure my honey hasn't drawn to the bottom there, and it hasn't. So now, this is the part that makes it lo mein. This is what lo mein is all about, is this sauce. So, here we go. I'm going to distribute it evenly as much as possible. And it looks like I'm going to have exactly enough. I got it right this time. We didn't have to modify. That's a good thing. And probably I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to my spork. I've still got it on medium heat. And now that I have, oh, I can smell that's a good flavor coming off of there. So now that I've got that, I'm going to cover it one last time. This time I'm going to cover it for at least 3 minutes, maybe as much as 5. When we come back, we're going to have it on a plate ready to chow down. Here we are. We're ready to try chicken lo mein with honey. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of sweetness in my food, in my dinner food. I've always been more bitter taste, like sauerkraut, that sort of thing. Sweet and sour has never been a big thing for me. So trying this, honey I like in and of itself, and I love it on things like biscuits. But this truly is an experiment, because normally I probably wouldn't do that. But I still think it's going to be pretty tasty, and we're about to find out. As usual, I've never cooked this before, so we're going to see what happens. My reaction may be a little too honest. Let's see. I've got a little bit of noodle, a little bit of broccoli, a little bit of chicken here. Oh wow. Just a really unique taste. Very spicy. I might have put a little too much spicy in. Wow. Oh, that I like. But the chicken, definitely feel, get the ginger. The noodles are the right texture, the right consistency. And the honey did its job of acting like cornstarch without being too sweet. There's a mild sweetness here, but certainly not overwhelming as I thought it might be. And the noodles are just, the broccoli is crisp, the carrots are crisp. I would definitely make this again. I definitely would. Good stuff. In fact, I'm so hungry today, I'm going to devour it. Very good. Very good. Definitely a worthwhile endeavor. So, thank you. Shout out to Anastasia Webster, my buddy, for making the recommendation. So, Stasia, you got to try it. I think you're going to like it. You might want to hold off on the heat just a little bit. But other than that, I think you're going to like it. A little bit of chicken lo mein with honey today on the Lupine Epicurean. Thanks again for joining me for another episode of the Lupine Epicurean. I got to be honest with you, my mouth is on fire. If you don't like it spicy, just cut out the sriracha. If you do like it spicy, but maybe not as spicy as I do, 1 squirt will be enough for sure. So, thanks for joining me. Again, a shout out to Anastasia Webster for making a recommendation, request for a recipe. And again, I'll put it out there. If anybody out there watching Lupine Epicurean on a regular basis, if there's something that you would like to see me try, whether it be from a certain part of the world, a certain type of meat, trying, if you want to throw in an Iron Chef kind of challenge at me, like here's your item of the day, just down in the comments, tell me what you want, and I'll do what I can to come up with something new, innovative, easy, inexpensive, and experimental as usual. So, if you want to get the recipe for today's chicken lo mein with honey, then come on over to my official Lupine Epicurean Foodie website at lupineepicurean.blogspot.com. lupineepicurean.blogspot.com. And as usual, if you want to find out how to actually make one of the recipes that I post there, step by step, come back here to the Wicked Wolf Studios channel on YouTube, and we'll show you how it's done. So, in the meantime, see you in the kitchen. Alright. Oh, try this again. And I'm never getting on the floor from my camera ever again. Oh, time to take the. Not to mention, I probably look fatter than a whale. 3. Ow. Ow. Knees.